Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the Late Show. I'm your host, Barbara, with my co-host in the studio, Julian. How you doing, Julian?
Very well, Barbara. Great to be here.
Good.
Very excited about this one.
Good. We are still absent. We still have an absentee.
Yes.
Brother Soggy, gone but not gone, and still awaiting his comeback.
He'll be back.
He'll be back soon. Today's show then, Julian. Let's get right into it.
Every so often on the Late Show, you get to meet one of your heroes. And tonight, Earl Brown gets to meet me.
Thank you for the invite.
You're welcome, very welcome. We've got Earl Brown, MMA professional as well. Boxing as well. Been in the ring.
Wow.
He's been in the cage. Now he's in the studio. Very welcome. Really glad to have you here. The question everyone wants to know: is there going to be a comeback? Now that you're over 30.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a 2-year break. This is October. We're in September. So, first of October will be my 2-year.
A 2-year
I've had a 2 years living.
Semi-retirement.
Semi-retirement. It wasn't meant to be. I was just, I just took some time out. The last 2-3 years of fighting, I was pretty much fighting 4 or 5 times. Every 4 or 5 weeks. It took a lot out of me. So I want to spend some quality time with my son. Do the family thing. Do some training with him because, as you know, he's a fighter himself.
Yeah, I've met him.
Just showing him what the ropes really.
And I mean, you were fighting. How often did you say?
4 to 6 weeks.
For every that's weeks. A fight a month almost.
Almost, yeah.
And that
is some years I was fighting 13, 14 times a year.
And what toll does that take on your body?
Everything, injuries, cuts, ankles, knees, everything.
Because I teach during the week, and kids that have been expert at the moment, and a lot of them are into their fighting, and we take them, we do boxing with them in the afternoon, and they get to train in a MMA gym. And this one kid's got his heart set on being an MMA fighter, and he's like, yeah, I can get 3 or 4 grand a fight. And that I'll fight every week. I'll be in there. I was like, you can't understand. You can't fight once a week. I mean, I wanted to ask you. You came to mind actually. How often physically can you put yourself through a professional fight, whether it's in the cage or the ring? What can a human being actually do? What's possible?
It is once a week. I know.
You know people that do that?
I know one particular fight that fights with me. I fought it myself.
Is he a guy?
No, he's not actually. No. He travels all over the country. That's his living.
Yeah.
He makes a living out of it. I haven't spoken to him because I've been out of the game for 2 years. So I don't know whether he's still doing it. But when I last fought him, he was up to about his 275th fights, and I'm talking about boxing, A1, MMA.
Yeah.
I fought him MMA.
Really?
Yeah. In the cage.
Yeah. So boxing, MMA, K1. Is there any other way to make money from fighting? These are the big 3, right?
I tried a bit of presenting, interviewing.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. That
was
sort of
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really interesting for a few networks. You're not going to make money, and even fighting in this country, there's not a vast amount of money there to be had. You've got to put a lot of work into it. There's sponsors that you could perhaps try and approach, but you're lucky if you can get 100 quid a week. On the bigger shows, you're probably getting anything from between 500 to £1,000 a fight.
Okay.
So if you're doing it every week and you're winning, you've got to win.
Yeah.
You can make a decent living out of it.
Well, I mean, it gives a bit of insight there about the financial side of it.
That's the reality for
Yeah,
kids. I think I'm going to be a fighter. I don't need to study. I'm just going to be a fighter.
No, but the only thing is with these young kids wanting to come into it now is they like the idea of it, but once they start training it, it's a completely different thing.
Different ball game, isn't it? You're not just working on the night. You're fighting. You're training.
You know what? The only way I can explain boxing, K1 or kickboxing, is completely different to MMA. MMA, the best way to explain MMA, which I think most people would possibly agree with me, is let's just say you're down at the beach, you're physically in the water, okay, and somebody, for a laugh, holds your head down, okay, for the possible maximum, let's just say a minute and a half.
We not advise doing this.
No, we but
do not trust at home.
This is,
for example,
it's the only way I can explain it to you. So they hold your head down for a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Now, you know, most people, they can't take that long of time, but you bring them back up, asking for their air for a couple of seconds, aren't they? By the time they relax and get themselves composed, you shove them back down after 5 seconds. Hold them down again.
If you just tuned in, we're talking about Guantanamo Bay tonight. And no, we're talking MMA actually. But this is the kind of physical torture that feels like.
You got to want to like. I've found with the MMA side, you got to like being put under pressure. That's the best way to explain it. And you're out of breath. Your whole complete body is knackered. Everything's. But something inside you that pushes you to go on. Because whatever you're feeling, the guy in front of you is feeling exactly the same. And
is that different to boxing, where you can kind of lay on the ropes and protect yourself and
protect yourself? If the guy's not
touch a knee to the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And if the guy's not hitting you too hard, you can always cover up and you can wait for your moment to do that little burst.
Yeah.
You know, in MMA you can't really do it because you could have someone that's kicking you, punching you, elbowing you.
But in MMA, do you have more lulls in action? Meaning when both guys are on the ground. I know when you're on the ground, you've got to be prepared because some guy could do a lock on you or something.
Yeah.
But when you do have those lulls, they're actually just laying on top of each other. Doesn't that hurt?
It takes a lot out of you.
It might look like a lull to untrained. You're in someone's guard. You're being crushed physically.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You are fighting somebody that's pretty much the same weight as you. That woman the same weight as you. So having that same body weight on you, and you're already tired, that takes a lot out of you. Especially because don't forget, they will know where to lie on top of you. Because when you're training, you're experimenting all the time, aren't you? So when you're training on top of you, and he's in a particular position, and it's squeezing the life out of you, you know. That's what you're going to do to your opponent. Okay. Because that's wherever you felt, he's going to feel.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all mind games. It's like a game of chess, really. I know, you know, it's common cliche when they talk about boxing, but it is on the ground. It's a completely different game. It is like a game of chess. You've got to be able to think 5-6 moves ahead of your opponent, and then when you stand up. You've got to think him because he might decide to take you back down again. He might elbow you, punch you, kick you. You've got all those to can. It's not going to be just to the.
Yeah, you got to think about so many different things.
You've got to think about so many different things, and if you've got the energy in your arms to even put your hands up high to block something, and then he comes in with a low leg kick. You know,
it's like what you're saying is that you fight and this is. One thing that a lot of people don't understand is that when you're, like you're saying, your heart rate is up to the maximum, and
absolutely.
You're trying to maintain it. So really, you're fighting tired, and the great fighters, they know how to do that.
Yeah.
Their body's exhausted, but they're still performing like it's not. So the conditioning is a big key. And you're saying that youngsters, they see the glamorous side of it. But when you actually start to train, you actually start to get hit, and then you got to train again when you're already hurting. A day off or 2 days off. You can't take that.
You can't take, no.
So all these things, come into, perspective. It's not as glamorous as what it might look like.
Even at amateur level, it's still quite difficult. I would advise anybody coming into the game to start off, in boxing. A little taste for that.
My next question,
Yeah.
for people that want to start, is that the place to start? Is that where you started?
No, yeah, that's where I started. But that was many centuries ago. So
bare knuckle in those days.
Well,
I think
20 rounds.
I think where you're coming from, you would advise youngsters to start off in boxing.
Do a bit of boxing.
In America, where wrestling is very big.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Russia, or these wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling is very popular.
Every country's got its own.
In the UK, wrestling is. It's very rare to find an actual wrestling school.
Absolutely. And Brazil, it's jiu-jitsu. So you can get used to the hits, because not everybody likes getting hit. Not everybody likes it, and hence my scars on my face.
But let's say if you start out with jiu-jitsu or judo, something with no striking, then you're going to get used to rolling around with someone without the hits.
Yeah, but
maybe it might get you beyond that.
But what you find a lot of people do is, because they're so used to running on the floor, when they're faced with their opponent, they will take them straight down. Yeah. That's what they will do. They take them straight down because that's what they know. Yeah. And if their opponent gets the chance to stand up, they'll just keep them taking them down. You look at any of the some good fights.
Yeah, the strikers get taken down.
Yeah, they just get taken down. I was taken down all the time because people knew what background what I was from, and I could kick and punch. So they're taking me straight down. Where they've had, all their life doing the groundwork. I was never going to compete against that. I could stand a chance, but
against an expert grounds.
You're
not going to be able to. Absolutely. When the UFC first came round, it was the Gracies that were winning, because people didn't have the formula to beat these like ground guys. Producers laughing at us for some reason. But now, if you're a good striker who has the defense for the takedown, you might not know many submissions, but if you can prevent it getting to the ground, you stand a chance. You stand a chance against a grappler, right?
I'm not putting people off doing the MMA. But I would advise someone to do a boxing. I'm not saying doing it and professionally or anything, or just learn with the hand stuff.
If you want to do a bit of boxing with Earl Brown over the phone, it's 01189 660 382. Give us a call. I don't know why the producer's showing us CCTV. What is that?
He's showing us a robbery.
He's showing us a robbery. Really? It was a street fight.
It's actually a robbery, but they're not using any weapons. They're actually just pinching the gold. It's jewelry. Yeah. If you have any questions or any queries regarding professional fighting, maybe you're considering it, maybe you have experience in it, so text in. It's 0709 567 527.
Can I also say,
go ahead.
Just the training. You don't need to be fighting. The training, just in the training alone, is a good way to keep fit.
Well, I always find, this is not for everyone, but I find that there's only so much training you can do, because if you are a competitive individual, you can go to the gym 5 times, 6 times a week, but nothing. Then you just want to take it to the next level all the time, and this is a problem for ex-professionals, because when they go back to the gym, they know that their careers are over. So when they go to the gym, automatically the instincts kick in. They start training like they're about to have a fight.
Yeah.
So what happens is they have to completely away from boxing gyms or weightlifting gyms or whatever, and they go and do other sports like golf or.
That's why I'm learning to play the sax.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm learning to play.
Brilliant. Yeah. When can we hear that?
Listen, if I played it in here now, everybody in this room would run out. That's how badly. I bought a saxophone for myself, and I bought one for my son.
Fantastic.
A year and a half ago.
Fantastic.
And I thought I want to tune myself into doing something else.
Yeah. What made you choose that instrument?
I've always loved the sound of saxophone. I went over to Crystal Palace because I'm originally from South London, and I used to do basketball and everything else. And we went over to Crystal Palace where the old Crystal Palace was, Sports Centre.
Yeah.
And we heard this sound as we parked the car up. We heard this guy. He was just in the park playing the saxophone, and it sounded wicked. It sounded, that just always stayed with me. And I thought I would love to be able to play that. It's a hard instrument to play for me. Maybe for you guys, you might be talented. I don't know, but for me, get my mouth, my fingers working at the same time, you know. Unless it's a woman, then that's enough. That's enough.
Late show.
Yeah.
For a reason.
And, you know. Yes, up until I was in mid was helping training a couple of training now.
I want to take your list.
He was when I came in, didn't really know too much. I never fought before, and I'm going back about years ago. And his heart was. I knew him so far. He's fighting down at the Troxy on a regular.
Yeah.
Won his last fight this Saturday. Won in the first round. His hand speed and power from this guy has increased tenfold. He can match me pretty easy now, and within a short space of time, he's able to do that. If he can do it, anybody can do it. But he's got the heart, so that's what's made it. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's the desire not just to fight, the desire to actually train hard and prepare.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people may have the heart to fight, but they probably don't want to train as hard.
Yeah.
You know, and some people train very hard, but then when it comes time to getting hit, they don't like to get hit.
Don't like getting
so when it comes to any fighting art, you need to have the complete package.
Yeah.
You know.
But it takes a while because, can I use Umar again? When he first started to fight, I sat there and I told him there's so many different ways you can lose a fight, and he found out the hard way. But it made him a better fighter for it, because he was losing. I think he lost his first 2 or 3 fights, but he still wanted it because he realised, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that.
Some people would just give up and say, oh, I'll do something and I'll win out.
Majority of people will just give up after that. But he just persevered, but it made him a better fighter. He was fighting fighters that he shouldn't really be fighting, so he'd lose against them, and then he
wasn't matched well. He wasn't matched well.
It's not that he wasn't matched well. He just didn't care. And so you need to have that attitude sometimes.
Well, the thing is, I think having a don't care attitude when you're going to professional sport, especially boxing. I'm talking boxing anyway. Yeah. I mean, if you go in there and think, oh, you know what, I'll fight anybody.
Yeah.
You know what you'll find is that, you know, you will start getting a win there, a loss there, a couple of losses there, a win there. Then all of a sudden you've got a messy record.
Yeah.
Then what happens is people don't really want to come near you, you know, and it sort of messes up. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but in the MMA scene, it doesn't quite work like that, to be fair.
In MMA, it's different, but boxing, I mean, boxing,
yes,
you turn.
Boxing, yes.
There's 2 ways of turning professional.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, you come in either as a journeyman, and you say, okay, you're on a regular, whatever happens, and it happens. Or you go in a contender, and the contender is someone who have a manager, will have a promoter, and they're going to be guided in a certain way.
And a lot of those guys will be ABA champions already, right?
Not necessarily. Ticket sellers. Ticket sellers.
Okay.
If you're a good ticket seller, or like you said, if you've got a good background, like an ABA champion or British amateur champion or whatever it might be, or Olympic champion, then you're going to have people looking after you.
Absolutely.
Because it's in their interest, because they want to keep you winning, because the more they keep you winning, the more tickets they will be selling and business.
When you have a fighter doing it that way, it's very difficult for him to stay focused because he's fighting less. He's fighting maybe 2, maybe 3
Well,
times
Anthony Joshua,
Mhm.
who's won the Olympic gold medal,
Mhm.
turned pro. He's at 7 now, and he's fighting every 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Yeah.
different. You know, I mean, with him, from what you sense, I know there's a hype is always surrounding fighters, but with him, it looks like he really wants it. You know, he trains hard, and when he fights, he gets the results. You know, he's not one of those guys who's going to talk that this is going to do this, he's going to do this, and then he gets to the ring and he does something else. It doesn't even happen,
Right.
like what happened with Audie Harrison. You know,
Right,
gave you all the
yeah,
talk,
yeah.
but when it came to the ring, he couldn't deliver, and that's when people.
But he had that illusion of an unbeaten record for a while because people kept him protected, right? I mean, the guy
Well,
he won his first.
The thing is,
10,
he
15
had
fights.
an unbeaten record for a while,
Mhm.
but it's the way he had an unbeaten record. He struggled a lot with a lot of those guys, and people saw that. Hold on a minute, he should be demolishing these guys,
Mhm.
but he's actually having a hard time with them.
Mhm.
So it's a tough trade to be in. You know, I mean, yourself fighting once a month. I mean, how many fights have you had in total? I mean, you must be.
All together in the last, because you got to remember, I stopped for a long
In your whole career, like.
in my whole career, 70
Wow.
plus
Wow.
easy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But before that, as an amateur boxer, oh god, 30, 40, not as much, no, can't be more than 40. I'd say about 35, 36.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was trying to tally it up the other day, and I was looking. I tend to keep a lot of my old flyers, and I pulled them out, and I was counting them, but there were still people on there that I missed off, and I didn't have the flyers for.
Oh, okay.
And then my son was saying, well, why don't you count your trophies and the medals? And I said, you can't count it. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes if you won, or whether you won or lose, you didn't necessarily get depending on what show it was.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of difficult because I just lost count.
Yeah.
I really lost count. I just,
Well, what was your desire, though? I mean, in the beginning, when you first started out, your
My
desire
desire-
was to rule the world.
No. My desire was to be a professional footballer.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And-
that's what I wanted to do. And I was running around the fields of South London with playing football pretty much every single day. Not realising that that's what you needed to do, but I was playing football every single day with a group of guys, maybe 10, 15 of us, and there was, I would say, at least more than half of them better than what I was. But I knew if I was spotted by the right person, that maybe it would give me my lucky break.
That's the thing about football. It's
Yeah.
very hard now. I mean, it's even harder now. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you got guys, UK-based guys that don't even bother trying here. They go abroad.
Yeah, you got to live it, sleep it. My son, when we moved from South London to Staines, the first month we were in Staines, he continued his football, and we moved to Staines when he was about 5 years old. So he was 6 when he started playing again. So they saw him. He might have been a bit older than actually 7. Let's just say 7. And a scout who we didn't know anything about just came and gave me his card. Said, "I think your son's really good. He's got some talent there, and because he's quite athletic, he's quite tall, taller than what I was at that age, and he can really run the ball." And I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, this is just a joke. This got to be a joke." So he said, "Look, listen, could you do us a favour? Could you just phone the number? First thing, man, it's not going to be me. It's going to be the Chelsea down at Weybridge." And I thought, this is the real thing. Phoned them up. They said, "Yeah, can you bring your son down?" Brought my son down to where the Chelsea players, they're playing under some sort of dome.
Okay.
It's like a university.
State-of-the-art place. Yeah.
All the car, they have got all the Ferraris, the Porsches, and all the kids are walking through the car park looking at Ferraris, Porsches, and all the dads are saying, if you can make it here, that's what you'll end up with. You'll have that lifestyle. And but I wasn't saying that to my son. I was saying, listen, you don't know how long you're going to be here for.
Yeah.
At the age you are now, the chance of you actually staying here until you're 18 or 70, whatever, it's really remote. Because when they had you on there was about, I would say, 6 to 8 guys with clipboards. It's more like a scientific research program.
Yeah.
And they look at all the kids. There's about 30 kids, and they've got all the names marked down, and they're scoring them. They're putting down what abilities they've got. And he was lucky to stay there for two seasons.
Okay.
Some were there a lot less. Some were there a bit more. When they released him, he was gutted. It sort of almost destroyed. And I said, listen, pick yourself up, because you've become a better player. While he was there, he was still playing for Staines, and everybody could see that he's got potential. He was doing things with the ball that the other kids weren't doing. You know, so I said, you just got to keep him going. But unfortunately, I was trying to get into a grammar school, so that the football stopped. So the time I've had my break, not doing any fighting, he's been studying. So it'd be interesting. I said to him, he wants to go back into the football, he wants to go back into the fighting. But for me, you know, it's no point in being world champion, earning loads of millions and millions of dollars or pounds if you haven't got the common sense to spend it. It makes no sense, and that's what I try and install in him.
Education
Definitely, I know.
first.
Definitely, it's important. I mean,
It's important.
this
definitely.
is. I mean, I think the same as you. I think education
Yeah, it's got to be.
is the foundation,
Yeah, it's got to be.
and you can be as talented as whoever, but you really need to have an education.
Yeah, it's got to be. Not everybody's going to be like a Mayweather. You know, I'm not saying he's dumb or stupid. He's a talented guy, but he's smart.
People mock him because he can't read.
But he's smart.
But that's unfair. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Look
That
at the
doesn't.
millionaires can't read.
This is the thing. That doesn't make you unintelligent.
No.
And I think
Absolutely.
it's kind of like a cheap shot
Yeah.
when people are like, oh, you can't even. Or,
There's a
you
lot of
can't
haters
read
out there.
Harry Potter or whatever.
Yeah, there's
He's
a lot-
clearly an intelligent guy.
Yeah,
Just because you're not academic or literate doesn't mean that you're not.
He's got what a
intelligent.
lot of people would like.
Yeah, man. Money.
Well, yeah, he's got.
Well, and
what
talent.
everybody would want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money. Mayweather.
So, I mean, is that the sort of advice you would give youngsters out there? Is sort of prioritize the education? I mean, is it important? I know the kids don't like to hear that. They think, oh, well, you know, I want to be famous, I want to be rich, I'm not time for these books. But in retrospect, or in reality, you know, when you're 30 or 35 and, you know, you've got a bit of a bleak future ahead because you can't get into a proper job or whatever, you're going to wish you had.
Well, these days, I don't want to generalize, but these days, most young kids, when you go to most schools, unless it's a private school or a grammar school or something like that, an ordinary comprehensive school, most kids, what do they say they want to be? Most girls or most guys, what they want to, I want to be a DJ, I want to be a singer, I want to be a rapper, and I'm, you know, I just want to go to the toilet as soon as I hear that, because I'm thinking to myself, in another 30 years' time, who's going to be running the country? DJ, whatever, DJ MC, like, what's going on?
DJ Cameron.
This is a different. This is
Cameron.
different. I mean, the show on TV sometimes, you know, these private schools, you know, top private schools, and you've got young kids. I mean, I'm talking about kids who should be talking about Xbox or whatever. They're actually talking about how they are going to, you know, help make the world become a better place.
Yeah.
And these are like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it just shows that money talks, and if you've got money, you can send your kids to top places where they get the real priority.
See, I
He's nodding his head.
I don't think that having money and sending your kid to a private school equals better education. I think education is about learning from other people.
But Julian, the comprehensive schools, are they really giving that opportunity to these kids?
Definitely not.
Well, the comprehensive school is the school for everyone. It's the school that we as a country state fund, all our taxes pay for it, and It's
Is it
our
good
right
enough?
to have
But is
education.
it good enough?
We should make it good enough. We shouldn't opt out of the system and
Is it because
make my family good enough. We should
Yeah,
be,
you're right.
the country should be like a family and raise us all up together.
But Julian, when something's for free, you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Well, air's for free, water's for free.
We do take it for granted.
I know.
We pollute the water. We pollute the air.
That's true. But for a child, I think it's very unfair that if you're born into a rich family, you can have a better education than if you're born into a poor family. And the fact that the country is run by toffs like David Cameron, who all went to Eton.
You know what, Julie?
That is the problem.
You're 100% right, and a lot of it stems from the parents.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it stems from the parents, because you go to any of these private schools, you're not going to have a classroom of kids where you're having one person that's disobedient and distracting the rest of the kids. Would it be the case? Kids taken out the class, isn't it?
But the thing is, in life, you're going to with not in a way and put in a naughty chair. You have to deal with people.
Private education, sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
When it comes to private education, I think they are gearing those to go into a certain society. They don't need to deal with it.
If I was a millionaire or a billionaire, I would never, never, never send my kid to a private school.
Most people.
But to education become a privilege for rich country. I mean, at the university system in Sweden, for example, kids get all the way up to university. They can do their degrees. You know, why should education be a privilege for the rich now? Why did they raise the fees? You know, to make it harder. I believe they've done it to bridge the gap. And I heard when it happened a couple of years ago, and this thing kicked off. You heard the disprivileged kids saying, "We ain't got no hope. We ain't got this. We haven't got this. I can't get a job." When they look at me, they look at us low. Then you got the rich kid saying, "I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with paying £9,000 a year? It's not a problem."
Yeah, they're not. Yeah.
They're not affected. They're oblivious to it. They're oblivious. But I think education should be free. I mean, that's my thing. Another thing, just quickly, homeschooling, is that an option? People they are not, you know.
As in, then and everything's done at home.
Yes, where they get their education, their
At home.
curriculum at home. But not only, it's not just about the curriculum. You're actually broadening the child's mind. So you're taking them out to day trips, seeing places, going here, going there. It's not just about sitting in the house and reading.
You still have to do the register.
You still have to do the register.
I think that's good. That wouldn't necessarily work for me. I see my job as to encourage and be the positive role model for him. That's what I see.
That's because it's not one or the other. Just because you send your kid off to school in a day doesn't mean, right, I don't have to do anything else now. You're still going to teach him things.
He was because I had to and like that age, they'd be scared off my gym. I've been in a long bag, I've been kicking it and everything. And it's fast paced. So I just keep him in it. No. Then I had an idea. I thought, if I keep him in there for a couple of weeks and then brainwash him, say, if you can't, you've got to work on that bag. I knew that's what he wanted to do. But at that age, 1.5, he was just about able to walk. train his brain to think, get out of
Yeah.
and that's exactly how that sitting in the screen of you don't swing today, you can come out and you stay in that corner because just maybe for people in the gym.
Yeah.
And you stay there, he'd be kicking, punching, didn't know what he was doing. Didn't know anything, but by the time he got to about 5, everybody saw the potential. I'm not just, like this, but everybody saw the potential because he's had it watching people all the time. He knew he's a little bit old, stuff like that, and I was being so we took and for now you just sit that you want to do this, and it's little 5-year-old, and he's yeah, of course I can do this, and I saw the trainer talking to him, and he said, let me see what you're like on the pads, and we all stopped doing what we're doing, and he was on the pads of the trainer, and the trainer said, listen, you need to get this kid fighting. Yeah. Because he's got all the...
As a kickboxer, did he learn this?
I said, he just does it himself. He just sees everybody. He's too small. I said, look, you need to get him in a class, put him to the side, because he's a bit smaller than the other kids, put him to the side and see how he gets on. And he would, where the others would stop training, he would just carry on and on and on and on and on. He just loved it. So by the time he got to about 8, he already learned the basics, and I put him in got him a head guard and everything, got him sparring with the older, because that's all he wanted to do. All he wanted to do was fight, and got him sparring with the older kids, and I said, just do what you want with him, really. I mean, he needs to learn, but the more you hit him, the more you just kept him coming forward, because that's what he saw me doing. Doing the K1 whatever. And that's all so we had to try and control it. And a couple of times he'd lose his temper, and tears would come out of his eyes. I said, listen, you can't be crying. He's fighting. Yeah. So that's how he got it. So hopefully in another 10, 15 I sort of got to control him, and so when you see him now, as you see, he's just humbled. He's just because he knows from that early town, broken noses, broken faces, cuts. He saw it on me. He just got acclimatized to it so much.
So I mean, in a nutshell, what you're saying is schooling is for the teacher to deal with this.
For me, I think that's what
that have to do.
I'm about
what do you think?
Western,
about kids and actually these kids and actually made a protest that they should be able to wear what they want.
No.
You've got kids with funky hair, kids with their trousers hanging off their backside, all these sort of things. So, I mean, these are comprehensive right here. How
wouldn't happen in a private school.
It wouldn't happen in a private school.
Yeah, I think.
What are those kids thinking outside the box, not being sheep?
Well, they can fit, but I think a certain criteria.
I think probably now it's because I'm older. Really, there's only at school till about 3:30 weeks. So you look about 6.5 hours, and it's not even. You got in between. You got a bit of law. Yeah. My point is this: I terrible.
Yeah.
They don't want to wear the uniform. They want to make school as short as possible, do minimal homework, and like you said, who's going to be running the country in the next 30, 40
It's
years?
scary. It's scary.
Well, it's the same people that have been running it for all time, isn't it?
Well, as they say,
the elite.
the leaders are the reflection of the people.
Yeah, we get the government. We deserve.
Oh, we deserve it. We deserve it all.
We deserve this. We should overthrow them. Like the kids who are refusing to wear the school uniform, we should refuse to be pushed around.
Uniform, I mean,
I had this debate in school, but it's to individuate the kids. It's a means of control. It's like, why do soldiers wear a school uniform? So you can all them about so they will go and kill someone at your request.
And I think they will learn.
I expect a child has realised that, why do we wear school uniform?
School.
I mean, I'm a teacher and I force kids to wear a uniform, and I give them a 10 if they don't.
School learning.
A free thinker.
But you're thinking as activists, you can't teach young kids who are 11, 12, 13, whatever, to have free thinking. They need to learn discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline is very important. They need to learn the discipline. When they get older, of course they have free mind.
What is his view? Is he going to say, I shouldn't wear a uniform? What's his view on it?
He would be glad to wear the uniform. He wears a uniform now. I think, and he feels he's always smart, presentable. But that's what I've taught him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the problem, again, I don't want to go backwards, but a lot of our problems are to do with the parents.
Yeah.
They've lost some sort of control, or they're scared of disciplining their kids.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of disciplining mine. I'm glad I haven't had to put a hand on mine. I've sort of stepped to him as if I am going to do, but they've just run, don't they? At a very small age, they just run. So they've always got that I've brainwashed him from a very early age. So now it's very easy for me just to talk to him, and I can convey whatever I want him to do just by talking to him. I don't know the scary tactics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Grew up, if he wanted to go and play football, he knew I wasn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If he wanted to go to the gym with me, he's not going to go with his mum. So, I saw a mum and father with their child who was about two and a half.
Mm.
The mother and the father couldn't have been more than 17.
Right.
I swear to God, I was looking at it and I thought, you must have been both 15 when you had this. They looked super, super young. See, and I thought, well, this is the world we are now coming to. Nobody has or gives a damn about law and order. I'm not saying the police are great or brilliant or it, but we need to have some sort of respect, don't we? We don't even respect ourselves. Now, isn't there? Cops, this. But mistakes, a lot of time wins are, it's just, and it's sad. I just see it as negative. It's negativity, isn't it? And I always say to myself, no, don't watch that.
Yeah.
We spend a lot of time watching sport anyway.
Yeah.
It's just so negative.
Who do you think are the positive role models for the kids? Are there any? From sport?
Any when I say worry about kids.
Yeah.
Is a mind of their own. which their parents allow them to have.
That's a good point.
A lot of them. The good ones, they're kept indoors, and we know who those ones are because you never see them. Okay, when they're out in the street, they walk by the side of their parents. But the unruly
are these the kids that go to the great private schools?
No, you don't necessarily have to go to a private school.
Sorry, grammar school.
Or grammar school. I wanted my son to go to a grammar school.
Why?
Simply because of the education. Well,
high level of education, high level of learning.
Okay, the thing about the
more educated you become, Julian, the mind opens more.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
And the teacher, my uncle is a teacher.
Yeah.
And he's always given me these horror stories of the comprehensive schools that he goes to. He's relief teacher at the moment, and he's always telling me of the horror stories he has going to these comprehensive schools. So out of 10. 8 of them would be a nightmare to go and work at, and it's just finding that.
What would the other 3 be? Oh, 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
I went to a comprehensive school. What can I say?
8 from 10. Yeah. So the other 2,
8 out of 10.
He would say, it was really a luck of the draw, really. And these other 2 schools, I was privileged to be working there, teaching the kids. The kids wanted to learn. But it's hard to find those schools.
I've just had a text from NH. I think you're the role model for kids. I think that's to me.
That's you. Right. You can have that.
Thanks. You're a good role
model. A guy who
doesn't believe in school
uniforms, and a guy who thinks that kids should just run amok.
There's nothing wrong with school uniform. There's nothing wrong with school. So,
well, look, there's nothing wrong with uniform in general, but it can be used for good or it can be used for bad.
The reason why I say that is
the Nazis wore uniforms. I remind you. He does. He does.
But there's only one Superman.
Yeah, that's true. So how's it? That's not a uniform if he's the only one who wears it.
Uniform is a collective thing.
Yeah.
So, but the reason why I say it's a good thing is because. So, what are you going to do when you leave school and you're going to the big wide world? You're working for a big.
You're going to have to wear a uniform.
You're going to have to wear. You're not going to be.
That's what I say to the kids in school. Like, you are going to have to wear a uniform when you leave school, and it's got an M on it.
Tie, suit. It's a uniform, isn't it?
And a hat and a badge with your name on it. And
so what's gonna happen when they get into that environment?
Be too late. It's too late to say, I don't want to do it.
I think if
Julia wants to raise kids
in the wild,
hippies,
in the wild, in the woods, to be a free thinker and to understand. If you really are a true free thinker, chill out.
You still can be a free thinker.
You can, but things like wearing a uniform is part of de-individuating a kid.
Yeah, but okay, if that's the case, then how is it that as soon as these kids hit 16, they're allowed to pretty much wear whatever they want when they go to sixth form, when they go to college?
Yeah.
They go mad and they wear outrageous stuff to make up for the fact they were.
Because they're considered as young adults then.
Yeah.
You're young adults.
You're young adults.
You sound like a teacher now, Barbara.
Because you're considered a young
adult. You're young adults now. You should know better. You're an ambassador for the school when you wear that uniform.
Teachers, Mr. or Miss.
First name.
You call them by their name.
I don't think that's wrong, but
I've had an update on the text from NH. That was a joke. I'm not a role model for. Apparently, I'm not a role model.
Were they talking about me then?
NH, if you're listening, do you think Earl Brown is a model for kids? He's a professional fighter who loves violence and he never paid fights. And you want your kids to be emulating? Let me know. Phone on 01189 660 382 or if anyone's on Skype out there. Australia will let you know. Detail. Yeah.
Nephews and nieces.
Yeah.
Because when they see me, they just all keep quiet. I'll go round to my mum's house because my mum spends sort of 3 months here, and the rest of the time she goes back to Jamaica. So when she goes back to the house here, and they're all round there, and I walk through the door, it just goes quiet.
Wow, it's a bit like when I tell a joke in the studio. It's just dead air. But it is being a role model different to being a authority figure. because we all had that teacher that we were afraid of.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that we want to be like him.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that, is there? It never done us any harm.
Oh, no, true, very true.
Isn't it?
Touche. That's true.
As
But
long as you're not physical with somebody, you know, with a kid, then I don't see what's wrong with that.
agreed. Here's a question. We were discussing last week on our YouTube channel. Shall I bother plugging it or not? Allow it. But anyway, we were discussing. Don't want to watch that stuff. Subscribe. We watched the clip of. Well, we might have a call. Earl, if you'd like to don the headphones, we're going to go live to line 3. Hello, caller.
Hello,
Who's this?
Jordan.
Hello, Jordan.
Hello.
Michael Jordan.
No, Jordan. Katie Price.
Katie Price. Have you got a question for Earl Brown?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're on the line with him now. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, Elle.
Hello, Jordan. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Good. So I was wondering, would you be available to have a fight with me?
Sorry?
Would you be available to get into the ring with me?
Jordan wants to fight you. Oh, she's seen the poster and thought, yeah, I can have a go.
How old are you, Jordan, first of all?
29.
Wow. Okay, you're on.
She's in her prime.
You've got
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah. So what's the answer?
You just got to sign on the dotted line.
What's your weight, Jordan? Are you in the same weight category? It might have to be a catch weight.
What weight you?
Are you heavyweight?
I'm 94 kilos.
I wouldn't know.
That's
I wouldn't know.
light heavy.
How much do you weigh?
I don't know, but I'm a 10 to 12 size-wise.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps.
Does it help?
Yeah, it does. I
But
think
do you reckon I can knock you out?
Of course you can. I'd love you to knock me out.
Really?
Yeah.
Has Julian been teaching you a thing or two?
Sorry?
Has Julian been teaching you a thing or two?
I wish. Other way round.
Really?
He teaches me.
Ah,
He teaches me a lot, Jordan, actually. He's a
okay.
role model in the ring.
So listen to this. I had a premonition.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept getting a text saying, I need you.
You need me?
No, I had kept getting a premonition, and I kept getting this message coming to my head saying, need you. And then all of a sudden it just tuned into your radio show, and I thought, oh my God, it must be your mate.
Could
You
be.
know, he definitely needs me in the ring.
Well, Jordan, all jokes aside, I do give private lessons.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
do.
why you
No,
can't.
I do.
Okay, so will you help me tone up?
Oh, that's what you want me to do now. Okay.
I thought it was a fight you wanted.
Yeah, I do want to fight, but first I need to be toned up, don't I?
Size 10 to 12.
Yeah. How long do you reckon it will take?
It's all down to you, Jordan. I'd say 4 to 6 months.
No way.
Yeah. Being
Well,
realistic.
I'm going on holiday on Friday, so I need to tone up soon and cast some sort of magic spell. Come on, I'm sure you can work wonders on me.
Well, apart from plastic surgery, Jordan, I'm not.
Are you for real? I don't need plastic surgery.
No, I didn't say you did. I didn't say you did. But I can't. I'm not a musician.
All right, on a serious note, yeah?
Mm.
What inspired you to go into, is it boxing you do?
I'd started off at school.
Yeah.
I started off doing mainly football. That was my main thing. And I think I was about 12, 13, and my mates were getting into judo. I tried it. I did it for 2 weeks. My mum got me the gi, you know, the suit that you wear.
Yeah.
And by the third week, I gave it back to her. My mum was really upset that I couldn't stick it out. So when she said to me, "Why are you giving it up?" and I said, "Because you're just throwing people around. I want to hit people."
Yeah.
So my dad said, "Okay, good. There's a boxing club in Croydon at the time. That's where I started training. I enjoyed it, and I remember the first person that I beat up was my best friend.
Yeah.
But it was just for a laugh. I made his nose bleed, and I got a kick out of it from there.
Yeah. So you just went around punching people out?
No. You know what? Learning this craft, it teaches you respect.
Okay, that's good to know. But another thing I wanted to ask, for all the youngsters out there that want to get into it, what message would you have to them?
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Stop walking around on the street, getting into unnecessary trouble, getting into gun crime, knife crime. It's stupidity, because majority of those youngsters, when they get to a certain age, they'll realise and they'll start leaving their gangs, and they'll want to take life a lot more serious, where they might have kids of their own, and they're going to be thinking to themselves, I don't want what I went through for my child. So, you know, but they're going to want to go into certain professions, and they're going to find it really difficult because they now have a criminal record.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, you know, well, not everybody, I don't want to generalize, but you have so many kids out there, you know, 13, 14, 15, and they idolize this rap thing. They, you know, they think, you know, being in the rap game, it's all money, it's hard work. And the only rapper I really and truly like is Will Smith, because he's the only one that isn't a gangster.
Oh, but he's boring.
See, that's the thing. See,
that's some real vanilla stuff there. That's some real vanilla stuff.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's true though, isn't it?
What about Soul Solid Crew? I think they've got a big part to play.
Yeah, but it's the following that they had. Soul Solid Crew were really, really good. I enjoy the music, and I do like that kind of rap.
21 seconds to go.
But
yeah,
this call with us.
No, don't end the call now. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Go ahead. Sorry, Jordan. You're still with Earl Brown.
Sorry, Jordan. So I like the music, but I just don't like the trouble that it brings.
Yeah. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah. Unless we learn to control ourselves and respect each other, you know, I don't know what to do really. All I can suggest is, you know, for any youngster to take up a mixed martial art, any sport really. It doesn't have to be MMA or boxing or judo or anything. It could be anything.
And do you have like not matches? You have I can't find the word. I've had such a long day. You know, where you go out.
You got no fights, Jordan.
Of course, yes.
How many fights have you done?
70 plus, Jordan. But that's not including. That's professional fights, but that's not including the amateur stuff.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And I think you need to sit and think about how you're going to hold me up. You've got like one day.
Jordan, I will take your number afterwards, and I will speak to you offline.
Oh, you can get up Julian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but can I also say that my fighting career wasn't done to entertain anybody. It was purely done for myself. I wasn't expecting to go anywhere with it. I fought all over Europe simply because I've had promoters offering me fights abroad, and I you know, and it was just a case of me networking myself with various different promoters over Europe.
Yeah, but it just goes to show when you want something and you work hard for it.
Yeah, but I didn't do it to impress my mates. I didn't do it so that I could walk into a club and everybody say, "Oh, look at him, he's a cage fighter or he's a boxer." Yeah. I didn't do it for that. I done it for purely personal reasons, just to you know, for myself.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of these youngsters, you know, they do it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And then when they realise how hard it is, they'll have one or two fights and then back out. And
I know what you mean. I get on the treadmill for 5 minutes and then I'm out of breath. So it is seriously. The other day, right? I done a run for 5 minutes and I had to jump off because I couldn't, you know.
You're running. Maybe you're running too fast.
No, it's because I smoke.
Pace yourself.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah, so I get out of breath. You see.
There you go.
But yeah, it is hard. If you want to achieve something, you have to work hard towards it, and it's a struggle, but you get there in the end.
Absolutely, Jordan.
So a big well done to you.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you for phoning.
Thank you very much. Cool.
All right, thank you.
To the lecture.
All right, bye.
Thank you. That's Jordan there, challenging you to a fight, and then wanting some personal training.
Really lovely.
All our listeners, all our callers are lovely. But where were we? Education. We've done education. We've done
education. You are nothing really.
We've done the rapping. You're a Will Smith fan, apparently. That got a few laughs. That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
No,
that speaks volumes.
Because I was into the underground. Look, listen, you know, just to name a few. What's Soul Solid? Yeah, they're cool. But the ones before Solid, the ones in the state.
MC Hammer.
No. The underground stuff.
Underground. If you're asking the wrong guy, text in if you know.
Yeah.
Who was the underground?
There's quite a
rappers?
few rap groups that I was into. Cypress Hill, that sort of era.
Okay.
But I can listen to it, but I don't have to do what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean? I can listen to it, enjoy it, and that's it. That's where it stays. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that will listen to it and want to emulate that.
Do you think this people like gangster rap gets blamed for problems that are actually caused by other things? Yeah.
People just using it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because heavy metal's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Music is a very good point. Music expresses aggression. I'm sure it always has.
If you're the sort of person that listens to rap or heavy metal, and then you want to emulate what these guys are doing, then you're weak-minded, aren't you? So that's the way I look at it. That's my own personal take, and that's not knocking anybody, or I don't want to knock music in general, but music is a good thing, but it's what you do with it after you've listened to it.
Very well said. Well, the saxophone, I've heard, is a very violent instrument.
The saxophone, it's
great. Bill Clinton played it. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
But it's good to be creative, no doubt. So it's so much easier to be destructive than to be creative. And
anybody can be destructive.
Yeah, exactly.
So
easy to destroy. Earl Brown, we're going to wrap it up. I do want to get some of your views on certain things and just tell you.
My views?
Yeah, I want to get your views or burning questions, because you've very kindly come in tonight. You've given up your time to be with me. You'll be welcome again.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're on every week from 10. We're trying to broaden our horizons in terms of listeners, contributors, guests we have on the show. I mean, we've had a couple. We've had just the fourth professional fighter we've had on the show. I think we should probably branch out. We had Khalid Ismail. We've had Aji, who's starting progressing in his professional boxing career. Aji Sharif. And we had who's that other one? Andre.
Yeah.
Andre.
Should I get Umar? I'll get Umar.
If you can get Umar Kayani, we'd love to
Umar Kayani have
him as number 5 fighter on the show.
I can easily get him down.
And he sounds like a Muslim. What's his heritage? Umar Kayani.
I think he's from.
What's his fighting name? Umar.
Bulletproof.
Yeah. You want to get him on? Wow.
Yeah.
He's got a big following, yes.
Yeah, he's got very, very, very.
Yeah, we'd love to have him on if you can arrange it.
Yeah.
We'll make it interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely will. Yeah, we'll make it interesting.
How are we gonna do that then?
We'll ask some controversial questions, isn't it?
Well, yeah. go for it. But we're on every week from 10. Sometimes we talk politics, which Jasa finds really boring. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we discuss fears or computer game addictions. We've had an eclectic bunch of.
We like to believe topics. That we can talk about anything.
We can talk about anything and nothing.
It sounds like you guys can. I mean,
we can wing it.
Discuss anything.
No.
You're more than welcome to come as a regular.
Really?
But
more than welcome.
See, you're not going to get rid of me now. I'm going to bring my sleeping bag.
But you'll be welcome.
My sleeping bag, my little cooker.
Yeah. But I've got to get your view on the unseen, because Barbara and I often we fall out on this stuff. We don't fall out, but we have differing opinions on the likes of demons, jinn, possessions, people being spooked out or whatever. I know you're not. I mean, I'm not a religious man, but I'm an open-minded kind of guy.
Are you really open-minded?
I like to think so, as we all do. Although maybe you say I'm closed-minded. I certainly don't wear a school
You're
uniform.
extreme moderate.
Anyway, I am an extreme moderate. So, for example, when we talked about mental illness, Barbara said a lot of the reason why, and it's true, people can't cure mental illness, is because people are coming at it from the wrong angle, and it actually may be to do with, as Barbara puts it, the unseen or spirits, evil spirits, that kind of thing. I know you're a spiritual guy.
I agree with that, definitely.
You're open to that idea. Well, there you go, Bob. You've got another. You've got another supporter. Just give me your view.
I'm not saying it that medication won't cure it. But what I'm trying to say is when you've got individuals who are clinically insane, I believe that there's a cure for everything. Except death. And when you've got individuals who are clinically insane, and then you've got psychiatrists who do not believe anything about the spirit world or the unseen or.
Well, look, we don't.
And all they continue doing is just pumping these individuals with drugs just to sedate them.
Yeah.
But 10, 20 years, 30 years down the line, they've still got the same problem.
Yeah.
But then they still don't want to accept the fact that, hold on, should we try this other angle? Maybe there's a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a problem. But then the thing is probably infested in them. It was not going to go.
So where does the spiritual, the demonic,
for example,
because can I just quickly cut you?
Yeah.
Say we had 100 people mentally ill. I agree with about a certain percentage of those people would fall under the demonic. Okay, I was never into that before, but there's certain things that I've seen over the last couple of years, and it sort of swayed me.
Seen and
it's
unseen.
Sort of sweet.
Okay. I mean, there's always going to be unexplained things. There's a film out at the moment called Lucy.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Brilliant film.
I haven't seen it. I should watch it. Apparently, it's about a woman who she opens 100% of her mind, and when that happens, next weird things start happening.
I don't want to spoil it.
Haven't seen the film, so don't ruin it. But
I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
I think it might be more to do with that rather than devils and whatnot. If we don't really truly understand the human mind, then how can we? We can't really understand things like mental illness.
So, do you believe that someone put a spell on you?
No, but I think people believe that, and psychologically it could have an effect rather than an actual
let me come
physical.
From another angle. Do you believe? Because I don't quite believe people can put a spell on you, but I believe that if you're in a room with negative people, it
evil eye.
The evil eye.
Wow.
You saw that, did you?
No.
All right.
Now, what is that?
Well, I had an evil eye and it came off. But
that's a bad sign. That's a very bad sign.
I lost it in my bedroom. I don't know.
Oh, dear. I lost it when I went under a ladder with the black cat
But I've got something
on Friday.
Something similar.
The 13th.
Yeah, something similar.
You have.
That looks like the chemical weapons sign.
Well, you believe that this will have a positive effect on you, right?
Definitely.
Well, if you believe it, that is enough for you, I guess.
Definitely. And I believe that when people are thinking, ill rotten things of you, then it has an effect on you as well.
Fantastic. Earl, I've only got a couple more questions for you, just because I want to get them out there on air. Scottish independence, yes or no?
I'm not going to sit on the fence of it, but the way
there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
We don't like those people.
Hadrian's Wall.
We like people to choose.
What I'm going to say is, does England actually need them? I've got nothing against the Scots. I love a good accent. I love
the accent. Apart from that, yeah.
And I've been to Scotland loads of times. I just don't see, if that's what they want. If the majority of them want it, then.
Well, 49 or 51% of them will be very upset.
I think those polls are inaccurate.
You reckon?
Ridiculous. Why does it always have to be 1 or
Yeah.
2%
Yeah.
difference?
Yeah, that's not normal.
That's not real, is it?
No,
No.
it's got to be more of a landslide.
I mean, it's like a
60-40.
fight. I mean, it's like a fight.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you've got a fight and it's going 50-50,
Yeah.
you might as well call it a draw.
Yeah.
Why would you want to make one guy lose
Yeah.
over 1 or 2 points?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
But
What happens if
No,
the
it doesn't
election
make
is a
sense.
draw?
It doesn't make sense. Not to me.
What happens if the election is a draw? Will they have another one next week?
If it's a draw?
Exactly.
Then what would happen?
3 million votes each.
Yeah, but you're not going to
Dunno.
have a draw, are you? I mean, what's the...
Well, you never know. 1 in 6 million chance.
Well,
What do you think about the Englishmen who are actually
Is this a joke?
who are? Oh, sorry.
No, no,
You're
go on.
Irish, are you?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're Irish.
So he's a man.
That's come on.
Right.
Like the Englishman,
English,
the Irishman, and the
I
Scotsman.
mean, I've seen various Englishmen approached on the news, and they say, what do you think about it? And some Englishmen just blatantly say, let them go, but don't give them any privileges either.
No.
Like, for example, if they want to go, that means they got no right to
I-
come back in here or do business here, or whatever.
When it's gone, it's gone.
When it's gone,
I
gone.
see. You know what? Them splitting the country in two like that, or wanting to split the country in two like that. It's only a matter of time before Wales wants the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think
Before you know it.
Wales will want exactly the same thing, and then it'll get even stupider. Because
Then Cornwall.
Then Cornwall.
Yeah.
Then
Reading.
Manchester.
Yeah.
And then London will be cut into 4 different.
Then we're going to see the same thing that happened to Russia.
I used to say this as a joke to a few of my mates. I'm different to you because they come from North London. I come from South London.
Complete foreigner then.
And I used to say, well, you guys are foreigners. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We're foreigners. We're West Indian just like you. And I said, no. You're from North London. I'm from South London. I said, you what? You know with that old... who's that?
Well, that's like rivalry, isn't it?
No, who used to do that as well? Afghani?
Oh, yeah,
He used to do
yeah,
the same sort of thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
If you come from a different area...
Bigotry.
Yeah. But I said...
Julia's good at that.
Well, a friend who you know, I won't mention his name, but he's a doorman that I worked with. He was my head doorman.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about. I was on the door in Bracknell trying to make conversation. You know how you do when you've got 4 hours to go. I said to him, "So are you from around?" He's an older guy, like well in his 50s. So we're in Bracknell. Oh, good. We're in Bracknell in Berkshire. And I was like, "So you from around here? You got around here?" He's like, "Nah, not me, mate. Nah, I'm from Reading." I was like, wow, that's just practically yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. It's that kind of notion that if you're from down the road, you're from abroad. That's like back in Ireland. My grandma, the vicar in the village, I think he was the vicar there for like probably like 40 years or something.
Okay.
But he arrived there when he was 20. So my grandmother still considered him a blow-in. Oh, you're from down the road. You're not a local. You're practically a foreigner because you're from the next county.
Here's a serious thought.
Yes.
With Scotland gone, or if it does go, which is a big thing. I mean, we was just talking off air before.
Yeah.
We said that disunity that's been happening.
Will people still be able to hear the Late Show in Scotland?
Has been going on for 300 years now. So with Scotland leaving, or if wanting to leave, is not a small thing. It's actually a big thing. And also, a politician made the point that England's military capability would be severely weakened if Scotland does.
Or maybe we'll be less capable to bomb Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya.
But I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that now. So now, you've got this ridiculous thing in the media about ISIS and etc. etc. They were going to take over the world and they're going to come like the scourge, taking over country to country. Is this a good place for England now, where you've got certain terrorist groups that probably they create anyway, running amok? Yeah. And now coming to England, but
Such a good point.
England doesn't have any backup anymore. It's losing its backup.
I don't remember. I'm going to go kind of way back. The only time I remember the Scottish getting involved in anything, and I'm not going to be disrespectful or anything, but the only time I remember the Scottish getting involved in anything was
on New Year's Eve.
World War II.
Right.
That's the only time I remember when.
No, but they do send troops. They do send troops to Afghanistan.
I really didn't know that.
The Scotch.
I always thought they were a picture.
The United Kingdom, okay, has always. We are the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
It's got scars. That's where they come from.
But the military has always disproportionately had Irish soldiers, Scottish soldiers, black soldiers, Indians and Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, and Gurkhas in the Second World War. I mean, a friend of mine who served in the British Army, he was from Jordan. God rest him, Yarhamho. He's passed away, and he said to me, well, I mean, he was in the Jordanian army, but he came over here and served. And he said that if you were black or you're from the Middle East, when they take the picture of you in the military, they put you at the back.
That's right.
But when it comes to the battle, they send you to the front.
Yeah,
and that has always been the way that the British Army has worked, and did disproportionately put people like the Scottish or the Asians or the other or the Caribbeans to the front line, and the white man stood at the back, and he's the general.
Apart from the photo opportunity.
Exactly. Apart from the photo opportunity, exactly.
This is why. I'm going to sidestep it a little bit. This is why it is really important for us to educate or help educate our young. I'm glad you touched on that, because my son wasn't aware of the millions of Asians, Africans, West Indians that fought in the Second World War.
Yep.
They had, you can go down to the War Museum, and they now have a dedicated room for West Indian ex-army soldiers.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed because they didn't have the Asian version of that. Because my mate that I went to school with, he's Sikh, and when I told him, when I spoke to him about it, he said, "Yeah, Earl, that's the thing. You know, we're slightly behind. We've caught up on the West Indians, but what we should have been doing is the West Indians and Asians. They should have been moving up at the same time, and they weren't. So they've got a room now for the West Indians, but they haven't got a room." You know, it's really weird that they've got a room separated for just West Indians. Why not just have pictures and war memorabilia representing everybody? I just found it a bit really. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe they're just putting they're separating all the countries they're taking over.
But there's no need.
Well,
but there's no need. There's no need, because Julian's right. When you see the newsreels of the World War II, all the Asians and the blacks, Africans and West Indians and Asians, they were never in it. They weren't allowed to be in the newsreels. Yeah. So you always get them wondering, so many millions of them fought, but you don't see their faces.
Where's the recognition? Yeah.
You know, and you know, I know it's a different time and this, that, whatever, but you have to also imagine that a lot of the ideologies from back then, some of these people still believe.
But this is the thing, you know, you can mold the history and rewrite history if you've got the control. And you can delete certain parts of history. So it depends on who's running the show, really. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
And then we're going to let this man go home. We're in the championship rounds now. We can have a short break and all that. No, talking histories and anniversaries. Last week we missed it because we were caught up with the September 11th anniversary, but it would have been Stephen Lawrence's 40th birthday. Wow. He would have been 40 had he not been cut down by racists all those years ago. And as a black guy from South London, as you said, growing up, you're in the same age bracket as he would have been. Are we in a better place now in terms of race relations and policing? Because that's what the sacrifice that he made, and then his family after him made, was to be in a better place. Are we in a better place on his 40th birthday?
Can I just say this? And this is, you know, to everybody that knows me, from most of my good friends, personal friends. They're the guys that I went to school with, and I train with some of them. You know, I still see them on a regular basis. Okay, they know my thoughts on this, and we've come a long way, but not far enough. I don't think, because society looks at the Asian, the black. What do you mean by that? I say to them, okay, and I always give this example, and my friends have started calling me a joker for saying it, but little Sanjay goes missing. Little Leroy goes missing. Okay, they won't look in the nearest pond. They won't get a helicopter looking for them. They won't get pretty much have the whole police station doing door-to-door knocking to see where Sanjay and Leroy went or got missing.
Yeah.
Okay, they won't have dedicated officers trawling through CCTV footage. Okay, it just doesn't happen. I can pretty much, and touch wood, I can pretty much. I'm not a clairvoyant or anything like that, but when certain things happen on TV, I can pretty much say how it's going to go. And it's as serious as that. It's, you know, since, I can't remember the name of the kid, but 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, since the first kid has gone missing, how comes we've never heard of a little Sanjay going missing or a little Leroy going missing? Are you trying to tell me that nobody from the Asian community goes missing? Nobody. Is that what you're trying to say to me? Because I don't ever see anybody. I don't see anybody from the Asian community being put on main.
It seems like certain communities have news value when it comes to.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Blonde girl goes missing. Little blonde white girl goes missing.
Right. So you know, I'm not.
And that is not to negate the importance of that one, but you're right. There's a missing. Yeah,
I would love
you are right.
for an Asian kid to go missing, because obviously
I know.
But I'm just saying
it happens and we don't hear about it.
In the last 30 or 40 years, that we haven't had an Asian kid that's gone missing. That can't be on main line, you know, news, 10 o'clock news, 9 o'clock news.
Certain stories have a news value.
I can't understand.
Yeah.
Are they not important enough?
It's a very, very powerful point, actually.
Do you know what I mean? That's that.
Yeah.
So we have come a long way, but not far enough.
Not far enough. Well, we got a call. Very well said.
SMS text delivery system from BT.
Well, we're getting a text. Let's hear what it says.
Message from 075.
Someone has mistakenly texted the studio number. Don't listen to the number. It's the right. Back it back up.
Press 1 to save it. Press 2 to delete. Press 3, or for more information about delivery of text messages.
Right. If you are trying to text the studio, don't text the landline number.
Text number is 07909567527.
But if you would like to phone the studio, it's 01189660382. Sorry for that interruption, Earl. That is actually a really, really powerful point you made. I mean, some people's blood is more precious than others.
I mean, obviously you spotted it. You spotted something. You know, what are your general thoughts on the media? I mean, do you find the media, you know, biased? I mean,
of course they are. I mean, to a certain extent, yes.
I mean, I can sit here all day and say, you know, the world is against Muslims, blah blah, you know, and all that stuff. But talking to individuals who aren't Muslim, you know, obviously, you know, being a black man, you understand discrimination. You know, poor old Julian is Irish. I'm sure he understands it as well.
Well,
you know,
not in the same way, but I identify with those that have suffered.
Yes, Julian's lucky in that he will only be faced with it if
I tell you.
If he tells people he's from Irish descent.
It's like a Jewish man who tells them there is your name.
Well, yeah. There you go.
So I mean, yeah. Going back to the question, I mean, what is your general thoughts on the media? I mean, do you think a lot of the stuff is just sensationalized? I mean, do people actually, word on the street, you know, with people that you hang around with, I mean, do people actually buy into this stuff? You know, this is the sort of stuff that, you know, as Muslims, we want to know. What do people actually really think buy into this stuff?
I personally don't think they do, because the main reason being is because when I went to school with Muslims. Do you know what I mean? I know how. I'd like to think I know how a lot of Muslims think. My brothers, they're Muslims. They're married. They've married traditional Muslim women. I'm in it more than what people think. You know, people look at me and they think, oh yeah, he's, you know, well, he seems well groomed. He seems, you know, as though he. But I'm in my social circles. They're more varied than what.
Is that what you would do? Is that what you would encourage? You know, people who probably aren't really familiar with mixing with Muslims or Asian communities or whatever, for them to actually make the effort, you know, and vice versa, for Muslim communities and non-Muslim communities to actually make more effort into sort of like having discussions, you know, having events or whatnot, you know, to bring.
And we walked. You mentioned it. I'm just turned 8. My sister's 7. We're walking. I've got a plastic bag with my table tennis bat and my net. I'm walking to go and play tennis competition with my friends, and it used to be a regular occurrence in South London back in the day, where the police would pull up and intimidate me. That could have had detrimental effects. You know, I could have turned a different way, but I didn't. But I always remember the police just hounding. You know, I'd be walking from school, a small kid, and I look at small kids, my son. Okay, and I think I'm always worried. Luckily, the police aren't like that anymore. But I always think to myself, Christ, I remember the conversations that were had when they stopped me and my sister. Okay, and it wasn't. I'm not talking about midnight. I'm talking about 6 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, we had to be back at home for 9 o'clock. So my parents only gave us free hour sort of playing time on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and the police would stop us. What have you got there, you black this, that, whatever? And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I knew he was being kind of rude, you know, but I didn't understand it. And when I went back and told my dad, you know, all hell that
is it better than that now? As you said, it's not perfect, but it's
not as blatant. It's not as blatant anymore.
It's not as blatant as that, and the police are a lot more accountable now.
Yeah.
They conduct themselves, you know. I just worry about the ones that were doing it at that time. What position are they in now? That's what I worry.
It's a good point. They might be the.
I'm always thinking those police. Very good. It was a long time before I saw an Asian or a black policeman.
Yeah.
Well, I do say that the Metropolitan Police is riddled with racism. So,
but there's more. But there are a lot of high-ranking Asian officers.
Well,
in the
I mean, I've got something to say about that as well.
Okay.
You know, they could just be Uncle Toms, to be honest with you.
No, you can't say that.
I mean,
that's what you see. You can't say that. You can't say. I just think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
It could be.
I really do think it's a good thing because
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying they are Uncle Toms. I'm just throwing it out there. Do you understand? I mean, like, this is the feeling. This is the feeling.
See, if they weren't there, then you'd be saying
where you've got so many problems now with Muslim discrimination.
Yeah.
And then obviously the government, you know, the police force, etc., the politicians, they're trying to get familiar faces in.
Yeah.
So they say, oh, you know what, your face that they can recognise.
Yeah. But so what you should have said, they fast track them up the promotional ladder.
It's not about the promotional. It's just like there's an agenda behind it. You know, it's not. Trust there. There's very little trust there. You know, there's very little.
I think it's better you have them there than you don't have them. That's the way I look at it.
Haven't black people had the same issues throughout their time?
Yes, and you will have a group of black people that say exactly the same thing what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have a group of black people that say exactly the same thing I'm saying. It's good to. I'd rather have them there than not have them there. If an Asian or a black policeman came across me, that Asian or black policeman would be able to relate to me. I know he would be able to, even if he didn't want to. I know he would be able to relate to me. Okay. It wouldn't be. The first thing to come out of my mouth wouldn't be because it's because I'm black or it's because you're in the power. You've got the power thing. Mm-hmm. I conduct myself properly all the time, and this is another thing. It goes back to the parenting. You need to conduct. What? You need your children to conduct or make sure your children conduct themselves properly at all time. But stop this walking around in groups. Okay, and I know you're going to go back to the same thing, Julian. Identity. But listen, if I was a policeman, I would stop you. Not you, personally, but my son walking down the street, age 12 or 13, with his trousers halfway down his.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I with a hoodie, and I can't see, and he only puts a hoodie up when I come near him. I would stop him.
Well, it's a vicious circle, isn't it? And distrust. I mean, we did a show about.
But isn't that sorry?
Go on, Baba.
Sorry.
We did a show about police brutality in light of what happened in Ferguson, in America, where riots happened after.
Do you not think he's in the wrong place at the wrong time? He shouldn't have been there. If that was my son, after that policeman shot him, I would have dragged him and shot him again myself, because I would like to think I educate my son in such a way that he wouldn't be into that. And that's what we have. Listen, we have to stop blaming. We really have to stop blaming. And we, the riots that we had 2-3 years ago. Okay, I would have been the first in front of those riots if the person that got shot was coming back from a church meeting. An A-grade student, but never in trouble before.
This is the thing, Earl. I think the one incident, the straw that breaks the camel's back, can always be exposed as, oh yeah, but he was a thug, and yeah, he was a drug dealer, and yeah, he'd just stolen a 7-Up. Yeah, he'd stolen something from a shop. The point is, in places like Ferguson, where you have a community that's 65% black and a police force that is only 5% black and 95% white, and black people are much more likely than white people to be stopped, much more likely to be killed. In the States, about once a week, a black person is shot and killed by the police. Whether they're a robber or not, they shouldn't be being killed. And that one incident, it's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
All I'm saying is, those days of 40, 50, 60 years ago, when black people were just being killed for nothing, not just even just having a little protest march, they were killed for nothing. Walking from one house to the other in an in a suit, or driving. You have the guy with his wife and the 3 kids in the back, and the police would pull him over and just shoot them. Those days are gone. Okay, they were conducting themselves properly. Those days are probably, and if any goes on that shouldn't go on, I'll be at the first you know, I'll be the first in front of that police station. I'll be the first to phone the first one to phone the first.
So basically, what you're saying is that if it was a individual who was clearly innocent, like for example, like you said, you know, a good student coming back from school, and he got like shot up by the police.
Yeah.
But if you got someone who looks like a gangbanger who went to a shop, and
or known, associated
to pay crime or whatever.
If I carried around a gun and if I was arrested several times, you know, even on suspicion, or if I had it and I've got bullets or whatever it is, or I've used, you know,
the real problem I think in incidents to assassinate the individual in a dumb get shot. It's the reason why you have 65% black, 85% white piece. Okay, but people want to become part of this. Someone like Ray might say, well, that's another Tom. That is like, okay.
we have to stop complaining. Our youngsters in saying, oh, what, it's in fashion, not just walking the beat.
Here is another way of looking at it. The other night I was just going through an old interview with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Now, Malcolm X, he was against turning the other cheek. He was saying, yes, respect, yes, you know, act properly. All the things that you're saying, you know, all the things that you're saying. But then he said something about Martin Luther King. He said that you teach our people to have a defeatist attitude. You teach people to be weak and always apologetic. You know, saying
like an Uncle Tom.
Yeah. There goes no, you know, a place for it. You know, yes. Carry yourself with dignity, carry yourself with pride, do the right thing. But, you know, if someone comes to you, you don't say, oh, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry for being black. You know, you don't do that. You know, you don't apologize for anything. So where you're coming from is saying basically, conduct yourself properly, do the right thing. You know, don't give anyone any ammunition, no pun intended, of, you know, doing something to you.
I've often seen myself as a little miniature Malcolm X. I don't see things quite the same way as Martin Luther, because I feel as though if I was back in those times, I would have been beaten for no reason. I probably would have been killed for no reason. If I was to be back in those times, I would like to think that I'd more favour Malcolm X. Not because he just wanted to kill people, because I don't believe he wanted to live like everybody else. And if anybody defend himself, because if the white guy can defend himself, why could black guy? And that's what he was trying to say.
Fair.
You know, it's not you can't have one rule for one and not the other. You just can't have it.
Absolutely.
Where certain individuals just ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, you're giving, you know, people who hate you more excuse, you know, to do something.
Absolutely. I grew up with kids, you know, that just nothing but trouble. They walk the street, and I always used to think, God, why don't you just see what you're doing? You know, whatever comes to you, you're going to deserve it. But luckily, they grew out of it, and they moved and had their own family and well respected, and they, you know, you can link up with that person years on. And they'll talk about their experiences. I don't know what's going through my head. You know, I had no family problems because I grew up in an ordinary neighbourhood, South London, in the suburbs. Mum and Dad worked hard to put a roof over my head, paying a mortgage, 3-bedroom semi. You know, my brothers and sisters, we never went without. You know, they worked extra hard. They didn't have brilliant jobs, but they worked extra hard. I see how easy it is for people, blacks and Asians, to hate the police. Okay, even having the same experiences I had, you know, it's easy because some people just take take it really personal. Just refuse to do that. I really refuse to do that.
Sound advice. Sound advice. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've gone from your fighting career to racism to police brutality. Final word on the comeback. Is it happening in 2015?
I am speaking with a well-known promoter as we speak now, and he's trying to tempt me in fighting. He's got a show next month.
Wow. This year, as soon as that?
Yeah. I've told him he's aware that I've been out the game for almost 2 years. I can still...
Are we in the cage, MMA?
MMA.
Okay.
MMA. And I'm thinking about it. I'm going to be meeting up with him tomorrow's Thursday, Friday, and see him again on Saturday. So I'll make up my mind, and who knows. The person in question, if you're in the MMA scene, he's a well-known fighter.
Okay.
It might be a tall order because he's been continuously fighting, and I might fighter's chance at least.
We have not heard the last of Earl Brown
in
the cage.
I'm still going to continue playing the saxophone though.
Fantastic. So we want to hear it next time. Bring it in next time. You can. We need a new theme tune. Maybe you can play it.
Maybe,
right.
Maybe don't stone me.
No. Well, it's fantastic to have you here, Barbara Ali. If there's any notices,
no. I mean, really appreciate your time. It's a great show.
And anytime when anybody wants me to anything up, listen, if I've got the time, I'll go out and do it.
Definitely. We always got community stuff happening here. You know, maybe you want to get involved.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
We need a person who's.
There's a boxing event on the way.
Yes.
Really?
I am looking to set up a boxing event around February time.
Okay.
Celebrity referee, possibly.
I could do.
Announcer.
I could do with some help. Yes.
Okay. I've done a lot of behind.
I want to get individuals to experience the 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a 3-rounder.
Icebreaker.
So everyone's gonna be 3 rounders.
Okay.
So just get the boys out, the community out. Novice or experienced, it doesn't really matter. Just go out there, have a good time. Sort of thing.
And it's all for charity, right?
Yes, it will be
It's all
charity.
for charity.
Yeah. It'll be for charity. Yeah.
So I might even fight on the show myself. Then.
There you go.
Yeah.
Be the main event.
Well, as many guys as you know what?
Yeah.
Line them up.
You know what I'd like to do, because on the last show I was on, I was meant to be fighting. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's well-known K1 guy. He was an actual K1 fight. And because of my preparation for the fight, I warmed up. I didn't warm up properly, and I lost the fight on points. And as I came out, the promoter said, "Oh, you just about lost now," and I was gutted because the last round, that's when I started to warm up. And he said, "You know what? For a laugh," he said, "I've got another fight if you want to take it. But the only thing is a heavyweight." I said, "Yeah, let me just do it," because I was sweating. I was proper warmed up. I said, "Yeah." He said, "You what?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it. Definitely do it. I'll take this guy's head right off."
Yeah.
And he said, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah." So I went in there, done it, so it's always
twice in one night.
Yeah, twice in one night. So I said, which is I've
Never
had
done
tournaments where I fought 4 times. So you prepare yourself.
You can do it.
Don't you? That's there's no sort of training. I think it's more mental than anything. So if you have, I'll throw the gauntlet down.
There you go.
Okay, I haven't done any boxing for 2 years, as you know now.
Just wait. I've just had a text from Richard. I will take him on, and that's someone you know as well.
Is it?
Yeah. That's Richard, who I've worked with. I think it was a joke, but you never know.
Oh, I'll take him on. Doesn't really matter.
There he is. You know Richard.
No, I don't.
You know Richard and T.
Oh,
yeah.
Richard, are you out there?
Yeah. Get ready for January. Get ready for January, Rich. You're on.
Yeah. So any number of guys, obviously, as long as they're not too good now.
Well,
4 or 5.
Wow.
Listen, Listen, I'm
Wow.
if anybody wants to, 2 rounds each.
If you're out there, he's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, the experience.
The man is ready.
Professional fight, I guess.
Yeah. I won't go too crazy.
Yeah.
I'll obviously I'm ring rusty, so they've got the advantage.
There you go. He's on board.
Yeah. Let's see
Or
what happens.
if you want me just to do the refereeing,
No,
I'll do both actually.
we can definitely set something up.
Or help behind the scenes.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Anyway.
Appreciate that. We appreciate that. So, I mean,
With that said, you heard it here first. The comeback is this year, but the main event may be next year, early next year. Fantastic. Well, this has been the Late Show.
Yeah.
Where's our producer?
Please keep supporting the show.
Yes.
We really appreciate all the support and text messages, the calls. We want to keep the show going as long as possible. As you might have gathered, we could talk about pretty much anything, as long as it's not too explicit, if you know what I mean. We can't go into all that sort of stuff, but yeah, keep supporting the show. We're live every Wednesdays from 10 p.m. and we're just waiting for the producer to come so we can wrap up and call it a night.
Okay. Well, this has been the Late Show. We were here. We're gone. Laters.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إبليس لم يكن من الساجدين قال ما منعك ألا